Hello, Louis. Thank you for joining us today to share your experience about China and your experience with working with us. I'll ask you a couple of questions about your experience here in China and how you feel so far about teaching English there. Can you briefly introduce yourself, where you're from, how old are you, where you're currently teaching, and how did you decide to teach in China whatsoever?
Yeah, of course. So my name's Louis. I'm from Manchester in England, and I'm 23. Currently, I'm teaching in Yancheng for work and live in China,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been here for maybe 2 months now. I think 2.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching in the Czech Republic last year, and I fancied a change. I wanted to push myself and go a bit further,
Mm-hmm.
and work and live in China had a great job advert. The process was really easy to get in touch with you guys. Um, so yeah, that's how I ended up here. Anyway,
And how come it's exactly China? Because there are plenty of places in the world where you can teach English as second language. So why did you choose China?
for me personally, it was more to do with I did want to experience somewhere outside of Europe, so
Mm-hmm.
that really left me with Asia, or well, I suppose Asia or Mexico to teach English.
Mm-hmm.
And I just ended up with China because it's quite an easy country, even though it's a long journey. It's an easy country to get to from England. I can just get on one flight rather than having the hassle of multiple flights. And there are that many big cities here that there's a lot to explore whilst I am here.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the main reason behind choosing China.
Oh, I see. Great. And how was your experience with our company so far? What were the milestones you went through and the general process? Maybe some comments on that.
Yeah, the company's been really helpful. So I had my interview, I think, in January,
Mm-hmm.
was my Skype interview. And before the interview, and even before I'd heard if I'd got the job, I was in contact with someone, I can't remember his name now, but he was really helpful,
Mm-hmm.
gave me all the information I needed. And then going through the visa process, the company was really helpful as well. You don't always, work and live in China don't always know the answer to questions, but they always know where to point you
Mm-hmm.
in the right direction. They know who you need to speak to
Okay.
find the answers if they don't know it,
Great.
which I think is.
And you said it's been a couple of months, right? While you're in China. So after you arrived, was there any support by the company, or did you actually need any support with like paying the bills or anything?
Yeah, well, when I arrived, obviously I was very nervous because what was going through my head was, is this a scam? Is anyone going to be at the airport? Am I just going to, is it all a prank? As soon as I came out of the terminal at the airport, there was someone there waiting for me who took me to a hotel,
Mm-hmm.
luckily allowed me to get some sleep. And then this was in Beijing, and then someone in Beijing took me to get my SIM card for my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and helped me with that. We did go to get a bank account, which in Beijing was difficult, and I ended up getting help still from work and live in China,
Mm-hmm.
but I had to get it in the city where I moved to. But they gave me all the information of what I needed to do to get the bank account. Paying bills, I haven't really had many bills to pay. But the school where I work, they've helped me pay my phone bill and for the electricity in my apartment. But they're the only two bills I have.
I see, great. And can you tell a little bit about your first week in China? Like when you arrived to the workplace, what happened, and how do you find the conditions so far? Maybe something interesting happened during the first week or the first month.
Yeah, of course. So I arrived in China on the Friday, and then on the Saturday, I had to get the train at 6 p.m. and it was a 12-hour, whichever train it was a 12-hour journey.
Mm-hmm.
And then I arrived in Yancheng, and I was collected by people from the school where I now work. They took me for breakfast. And I honestly was hoping that I would get to go to sleep after I arrived, but instead they wanted me to come and meet people at work. So I went into work on that first day, not doing any teaching, just looking how they taught kids and their methods. And then afterward, they took me out for a meal, introduced me to everyone properly. And then because of the way my schedule falls, I had 2 days off to explore the city. I didn't go very far in my first 2 days, admittedly, but I went to the cinema and I found where all the shops are and what I would need nearby. And then in the first week, I didn't do much teaching. I did a few demo lessons for the other teachers. And then by the weekend, I was teaching the normal classes that you're expected to teach at the weekend, like the demo lessons for parents. In terms of milestones, I'd say one of a more recent milestone for me is finally managing to master WeChat Pay, which when you can use that, it's just you feel just so intelligent and you feel great instead of just having to use cash, which until very recently I was still doing. So that's a milestone that sticks in my head, just being able to use that.
Yeah, that's superpower in China. Like, it definitely is.
So it's so helpful.
And as for the cultural differences, would you say there's something interesting or awkward or maybe funny that you find about China, and well, something that is not usual for you personally?
Maybe not in terms of interacting with people, but I've had to get used to, because I'm 6'5", 6'4.5". So I get stared at whenever I walk around in Yancheng. So I've kind of got into a habit of just staring in the distance, just to ignore people staring at me.
I see. Yeah, so people do stare, right? It's like
I was warned that people might want to come and like touch my, because I have like curly hair. They might want to come and touch my hair. I haven't had that, other than from the children, which is normal. But yeah, the Chinese people do stare at you, not in a rude way, just because, especially in this city, I've been here 2 months and I've seen maybe 30 foreigners. So it's just not common at all. And especially when you're as tall as me, you attract attention anyway.
I see.
So yeah, getting used to the stares is definitely one. But even though they can't speak the language, if you can use Google Translate, I remember on my first day here, my second day here, I was trying to find the cinema in the shopping centre, and I was just walking around the shopping centre with the word cinema in Chinese on my phone, and everyone was trying to help me as much as they could. So the people here are really helpful still.
And are you learning Chinese there, or like, do you find yourself comfortable without Chinese at all, or do you make any efforts to learn?
Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't ask. I've picked up a few words. Even though I'm a language teacher, I'm not very good at learning languages. I struggle enough with English, so I haven't had any lessons. I've been taught a few important words at the school where I work, but I've not had any formal lessons. And I'm comfortable being able to use Translate, even though I know that's not really getting the true experience, or that's not really being a very good immigrant somewhere.
Keep it up. But, you have plenty of time to learn.
Yeah, exactly. I do have lots of time to learn.
How do you find your apartment so far? Any experience on that?
My apartment is great. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it is. So I think I'm maybe 3 minutes from the door of my flat, which is on the 21st floor. Maybe 3 minutes from there to get to my school.
Wow, that's very close.
The apartment's it's very close. It's very close. The apartment's roomy. It's got enough. It's got more than enough room It's all open.
Is it a single apartment or do you share it with someone?
A single apartment. I live on my own.
I see. Great.
And I mean, like last year I lived in the Czech Republic and I had to get my own apartment and it wasn't as good as this, and I had to live with people and I had to pay for it. So this is like just much better than I would have imagined.
Nice. And how do you find the salary in China for English teachers?
The salary seems very good. I've only had, I haven't even received a full pay yet, but even, I think I got paid maybe 3/4 or 2/3 in my pay because I've only been here for, due to when pay falls, I've only been here for like 3 working weeks when salary came out, and I'm not even like halfway through that.
I see.
It's yeah, for what you need to live on. I mean, I have some bills in England, and I plan on like paying off my credit card while I'm here, and the salary will be more than enough to cover that and let me live comfortably, definitely.
Great. And well, I have the last question. What do you do in your free time out of lessons? Like, what are there any activities in the city, or what do you personally enjoy to do?
I do like now. Usually after work, I won't do too much. I might go to the cinema after work if I'm feeling like just not going back to my flat. But I like drinking and meeting people. So there's quite a few bars, maybe 5 minutes walk from me, which also have quite a good amount of foreigners that go to them. So I like to go there. I went there after work on Sunday, and just because I was new, people were buying me shots and just being very welcoming. I like to explore. My flat overlooks like a park, which has a lake in the middle, which is really very nice. Now I still find it very strange to go and explore and have such good nature around you, and then in the not even in the distance, just have the blocks of flats. I still find that a very strange sight, which I'm not getting used to, but I really enjoy that. And just getting out in the fresh air. I mean, in 2 weeks I'll be going to Hong Kong, just for a couple of days because it's so near.
How long is it to Hong Kong?
For me, I think 3. I'm not going the quickest way. It's 3 hours. There's a 3-hour flight from where I am.
Oh, I see.
But because of my days off, I'm having to get a train and then a flight. So it'll be about 6 hours for me. But I could do it in 3 hours if I.
Well, I wish you to have a great and safe and joyful trip there. And I thank you for your time today. It was nice talking to you and to hear your experience about working in China. We hope you stay longer and prolong your contract if you really like there. Well, if that's it for now, like, do you have maybe any questions to ask me personally?
No, in all honesty, I've had a few questions over the last few weeks, more than I had when I first arrived. But Michael and Tommy have been really helpful in answering them for me.
Okay.
So no, at the moment I don't have any questions. Thank you very much, David.
Okay, Lewis, thank you for your time, and it was nice speaking to you. Take care. Have a wonderful day there.
You too, David. Take care. Bye.